Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good Sunday. Apologies for the delay in today's talk. Unfortunately, something a little urgent came up, but all's well. So let's get started with our session today. Today we're going to be doing a lot of myth busting. Okay, there's a lot of information that we get online from WhatsApp, from a lot of sources, and a lot of times, I mean, most of it is not true. Again, we have Dr. Google telling you a bunch of stuff. What do we believe? What should we not believe? Is it really true that if a black cat crosses your path, it's bad luck? Or there are a lot of things that are out there, and we need some answers. So Dr. Michelle and I are here today to give you some of those answers, and of course answer any of the other questions that you might have. um, Dr. Michelle Simois is actually my batchmate from college and a really, really good friend. She works at Wild Vets in Bandra, and I'm so excited to have her with me today. So let me just quickly get her in, okay? And get your questions ready because we're also ready to do some myth busting here. Hello, Dr. Michelle.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so I was just telling everybody that there are a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of wrong information that's out there, and hopefully we can clear some of that up for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am
Okay.
I clear?
So I can hear you very clearly. All good.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I think let's quickly get into one of the most basic things that we see with a lot of people. I mean, it's been happening for ages. People think it's something that's very normal, and that myth is cats like milk, and cats are
Mm.
okay to drink milk. I mean, milk is a staple for cats.
Yeah, so most cats are lactose intolerant, and I don't know where this thing of cats loving milk started from. But you'll often see when you're fostering a kitten or a cat and you give them milk, they'll get really bad diarrhea. So that
Yeah.
just shows that they're lactose intolerant. Of course, there are some cats that are okay with milk who, it's a small percentage though. And
Yeah.
if you really want to check whether they are lactose intolerant or not, you can feed them milk at night and the next morning send their stool test for a test for reducing sugars. And if that's positive, then it shows that they're lactose.
So there we have scientific proof that most cats are lactose intolerant. So yeah, do not offer milk to, your society cats, your home cats, anybody. Just it's best you just, get a can or pouch or packet of cat food. I think it's easily available, and it's the easiest thing that you can feed them if you want to feed them. Um, so another thing that's been doing the rounds lately, of course, in especially in this current lockdown and pandemic, is that sanitizer, when licked by pets, is extremely toxic to them. It and so I read one. It said it contains ethanol glycol, which isn't even an actual compound. So that is something they say is toxic to your pets. So what do you think about that?
They'd have to consume a really, really large amount of it for it to be toxic. But if it really was toxic, we'd have every second dog like throwing up and having seizures and stuff right now. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, so I mean, and also ethanol glycol
Yeah, yeah.
isn't a real compound. There is ethylene glycol, which is found in antifreeze, which of course we don't use here because we don't have snow in Bombay, or I mean in most parts of India at least. So yeah, we don't use that compound. So that is something that is toxic to dogs, but getting their mouths into it is going to be hard here. Um, okay, so and then there's one about cats as well. That cats always land on their feet.
Okay, this is so I suppose if you drop them from like this height, they would land on their feet. But anything above the first floor, there's a high chance that they won't. they do have a writing reflex, but if they did land on their feet, we wouldn't get so many cats in so often who have fallen from, third floors and fourth floors and broken their heart palate or broken
Yeah.
multiple legs or have bladder
Yeah.
ruptures and things like that. So I don't know if this
Yeah.
is an excuse for people to not cat-proof their houses, but if you have a cat, and anyway, don't let it outdoors. But yeah, always cat-proof all your windows so that your cat can't
Yeah.
jump.
Yeah. So yeah, cat proofing is basically it's as simple as putting a pigeon net on your windows, so it's not that hard to do. So please do that if you're not living on the ground floor. Even if you are on the ground floor, just be careful because outdoor cats do tend to are at a higher risk of getting some certain diseases from other cats as well as getting into fights, etc. So just be very careful about that, and don't try to throw your cat down, of course, because they don't always land on their feet, and they do not have 9 lives.
Yeah, of course. Oh yes, that's a
That's one more. They don't have 9 lives. Okay, it's just that this one life. So please, it's precious to them. Okay. Let's talk about let's talk a little bit about dogs. Um, let's talk a little bit about dogs now. A lot of people, when they decide to adopt a dog or a puppy, they're always wondering whether they should get a male or a female because they hear a lot of things from certain people, that females are more loyal or, of course, females come in heat, so males are better, they bleed all over the place. So I think let's talk about the loyalty part first.
So I think either a male or a female is equally loyal. I mean, if your dog is not loyal, that means there's something really wrong with what you all are doing with your pet, because dogs in general are super, super loyal.
I mean, I think they are man's best friend, or so they're called.
Yes. And I don't know why they think that females are more loyal. But at the same time, lots of people don't want females because they come in heat. Either way, it's a good idea to get your dog neutered. So the heat should be out the way anyway once they're like over 6 months. But
Yeah. And since we're even talking about neutering, we can talk about some of the myths that surround neutering as well. That females, they want to experience motherhood, or that
or also
males,
that males need to mate.
yeah, they need to mate, like because it's something they need to experience in their life.
Depriving them of their natural instincts. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, so that's really not true.
I don't think that motherhood is as emotional an experience for animals as it is for humans. If it is for humans, I don't know. But there's so many things that can go wrong if your dog gets pregnant, and neutering them helps in so many ways. It reduces the chances of them having mammary cancer, and of course eliminates chances of ovarian cancer and uterine cancer. So I don't think that motherhood enriches a dog's life in any way. And also, what would you do with all those extra puppies? If
exactly.
They have like 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah, so I mean, your female doesn't need to experience motherhood because she'll be just fine even without it. She'll still be herself and be as happy as she can be, and also prevent a lot of problems that could have happened if she got pregnant. And males also, they don't need to mate. It's not an urge. It's just hormones. Okay, they don't get more masculine if they mate, or you're not like cutting off their taking away their masculinity in any way. Your dog is still going to be your dog, neutered. I mean, even if he is neutered. And it doesn't really change their personality. I mean, we'll talk about that as well. They a lot of people think my dog will be depressed if he's neutered. He'll become very dull and quiet. So like, what do you have to say about that?
No, I don't think it affects their behavior. I mean, whatever is hormonal will tone down. But, there's a reason why it should, anyway, as they grow older, they tend to calm down.
They're still the same personality.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you see like neutered Labradors that come into the clinic and they're as hyper as they were when they were puppies. So I don't think that like really tones
it
down.
doesn't change their personality in any way, for sure. Okay, and yeah, so we spoke about neutering. Also, a lot of people, they kind of decide whether to go to a vet or not based on whether their dog's nose feels wet or not. So if
Yeah,
if their nose is wet, they think it's healthy.
yeah. And
So
the dry nose means that they have fever. I mean, a lot of things can affect the dryness or wetness of your dog's nose, from just maybe having woken up from a nap, their nose may be dry, or if they have allergies, their nose could be extra wet, but they could still be sick. So, I mean, a better indication would be actually taking their temperature or looking at their appetite and things like that. It's just one of those old wives' tales that a dry nose means that they're sick and a wet nose means that they're fine. So,
yeah, and I mean, yeah, they don't have sweat glands. It's a way
yes,
of letting out the excess
yeah, the thermal
of
regulation.
wet as well. Yeah. So that's not so, a nose is not an indication of their health. Please, the best thing is to go to your vet if you think your pet is sick. Don't wait till it gets really bad before you go. Um, and there are a lot of misconceptions even surrounding puppies when people get new puppies, because they hear a lot of hearsay from, breeders and their neighbors and everyone else who's not aware. um, so they say that you can only your dog you can only train a dog when it's young, like older
Yeah,
dogs can't be trained.
yeah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
that's
really, really wrong. I mean, you can train a dog at any age as long as you have a good trainer or behaviorist. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, exactly, it just takes a lot of patience, from your end. Of course, you have to put in that kind of commitment if you have a pet. um Now, another thing that we do get, we get also a lot of people calling us when they find baby birds, baby squirrels, even kittens and puppies for that matter. They think that if they go and actually touch the baby, or like, pick it up, put it back in the nest, if they have the scent of human hands or human, fingers
That
on them,
mom.
that mom will reject them and they'll be abandoned.
Yeah, that's
True.
completely false. False, false, false. I mean, their mother instincts are really, really, maternal instincts are very strong. So they're not going to just abandon their babies because they smell a human on them. But at the same time, I mean, maybe they'll be scared and they won't approach them while you're around. So you should always give them that space to come back to the nest or whatever animal
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. Yeah. That's
And
that's
especially with birds, I mean, you shouldn't use that as a reason to not try and put them back up in the nest. That's the best thing for an injured bird, especially fledglings when they're learning to fly and they fall out of the nest. I
yeah.
mean, their parents are
Their
probably
mothers
sitting close by.
take them back immediately. To be honest, yeah, they know their babies.
Yes.
That's the maternal instinct that they do have. So yeah, that's completely false.
Yeah, and
So
plus the dogs and cats, they often foster babies that are not their own when they're lactating. So if that was true, they would obviously not accept someone else's babies. But that's just how strong their maternal instinct is.
yeah, yeah, yep. Yeah. So right. So I think those were some of the major myths that we hear. Okay, there is a question here. How do I make my pet social? Is it something like an introvert dog?
Uh, so I guess there are so many ways that you can socialize your dog. I mean, it's better to start at a younger age, of course, but even if they're older, you can, but you shouldn't force it. I don't know about an introvert dog as such, but eh, yeah, some dogs aren't
I mean,
comfortable
everyone
being
has their
around.
own personalities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you shouldn't
there are
force
some dogs who don't like, the excessive cuddling, and that's totally fine. You have to respect what your dog feels, just
Yeah,
like
and
you
some
would.
dogs are a little aggressive. So I mean, if you know your dog is aggressive, don't like leave it off leash with like a brand new dog just to make it socialize.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Okay, we have another question. If you touch a bird's egg by mistake, is it true that the bird does not consider the egg as its own, especially pigeons?
what do you think, Hannah?
I don't think pigeons really care. They would literally like sit on anything. Even if you put a stone in
Yeah,
their
if
nest,
there's
they'll
not pebble
incubate
also,
it.
they'll probably sit on it. So sad.
Yeah. So I don't think it matters whether y'all touch them or not. But ideally, yeah, just don't touch their eggs. Just leave it alone. Okay. So okay, I think Sunaina's dog only likes me, his master, and likes no other dogs. So I think what Sunaina also needs to do is work with a behaviorist who
Yes,
can
yes.
help the
That'd
dog
be a
with
better
these
person
issues.
to deal with these issues than your pet.
Because if the dog has, of course, underlying trauma or issues from the past um, that's making him scared or, you know, what's the word for it? Anxious, and yeah. So you need to work with a behaviorist for that. Um, yeah, there are a lot of shy dogs. You have to respect their space as well, but there are ways to help them come out of it as well.
Yeah, and a fearful dog can sometimes, I mean, get aggressive for the wrong reasons. So
Yeah. Okay. Is Indian weather bad for huskies and Saint Bernards?
what do you think?
Uh, Honestly, the ones they I mean they don't like it obviously. It sucks to have all that hair and um a lot of moisture. I mean the humidity literally this and they pretty much stink most of the time because of it. But otherwise, see, look, a lot of them are now bred here. They're born and bred here,
Oh,
so
right.
they've kind of acclimatized. But yeah, so but obviously, yeah. Oh, one more myth just came to my head when she spoke about huskies. Is that in the summer you need to shave your dog's fur because they feel hot.
Please don't do that.
So yeah, don't do
And
that.
don't go to a groomer who tells you to shave your dog's fur completely. Please.
Yeah,
Yeah, that coat is really important. I mean, it traps air in it, which is, protects them from the heat and the cold. So when you shave them, you're keeping them completely exposed to all the elements, and it's really bad for the skin as well to shave them. And another thing about huskies is I've actually never seen a husky with heat stroke. So I think that they manage pretty well as opposed to like pugs and stuff.
and I think the issue more so is that in a place like Bombay, in a city where you actually don't have the kind of space that these dogs need, that is one of the major issues. Like these large dogs need a lot of space. They need to run. Uh, and sitting in an AC room all day is not the kind of
Yeah,
life that they
more
should
enrichment.
have. They need more enrichment, and then yeah, they need open space to run basically. I mean that's for a lot of dogs, not just these not these. So yeah, I think that's more of a concern when you even decide to adopt these large breed dogs. And also you have to maintain hygiene and grooming. uh,
Mm.
is again obviously they're going to have issues with that,
Yeah, I think
the mats
yeah,
etc and the
both
fur.
these breeds, Huskies and Saint Bernards, they have so many issues. So you really need to research before you get one of these breeds or any breed for that matter. Because they have
Yeah.
so many skin issues and diet issues, and they're often intolerant to a lot of proteins. So, you've got to be prepared to really invest a lot of time and also money into your
Yeah.
husky. You
Yeah.
can't like just feed them like biscuits and stuff like
Yeah.
that and expect them to be okay.
Yeah. All right. So okay, do snakes like milk? Because yeah, there is a festival Nag Panchami where snakes are fed milk. I think that comes more under superstition. Yeah, of course. So what do you have to say about that, Dr. Michelle?
They can't digest milk for sure.
Any reptile.
Any
So
reptile, yeah.
yeah, because we have some turtles and tortoises that eat paneer
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So would definitely avoid that. So no milk and milk
And
products
bread
for your
soaked in milk.
reptiles.
I've seen some turtles who've come in who've been fed bread soaked in milk for years. Say, "नहीं, उसको अच्छा
Wow.
लगता है."
Yeah. So yeah, that's another one here. Like just because they like it doesn't
Yes,
mean
doesn't
that
mean it's good
it's
for
good
them.
for them. Okay, so that is one of the biggest things that you need to speak to your vet about what is good for them and what is not good for them. Okay, we have another one. Should male dogs be mated? If they are not, get them neutered. Is this true?
No, it shouldn't be.
So yeah, they don't need to be mated. We spoke about this a few minutes ago. So they don't need to be mated, and they should be neutered. Yes. Bec- So, another thing that like some people don't understand is that when you also leave the dog unneutered, you're leaving them with all these hormones, and of course they're going to take it out in some way. Whether it's territorial aggression or humping everything that they see, but you're just leaving them intact. It's kind of cruel, um, because they obviously can't act on those instincts really, and they shouldn't. So it's best to obviously get them neutered for a lot of health benefits and mental health benefits as well.
And so yeah, I mean, otherwise you get like enlarged prostates when they're older and so many other things as well. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, if these people are planning on mating their dogs, I mean, what are they planning on doing with all the puppies?
Yeah, that should be the first question. Like, I had someone ask me, but I have a male, so it's not like I have a responsibility towards the puppies. So that is something that is, I guess, a little ethically incorrect.
Yeah.
Because obviously you have, just because you've donated. Okay, I can't say it politically correctly enough, but it's not a hump and dump. That's not how it works. The
And also,
responsibility is
yeah, if
equally.
they're really, really keen on getting their dog mated for whatever reason, some people are completely bent on it, then you really need to do your research and make sure that your dog has had hip x-rays to make sure he doesn't have hip dysplasia, he shouldn't have any skin issues, he shouldn't have any intolerances, he shouldn't have behavior issues, because all these things are going to pass on to like 10 puppies.
And we've had
And
a lot of cryptorchid dogs also mating,
mate, yeah.
which they're going to transmit to their pups. So yeah, these are some things that you need to do a lot of research, and obviously from a reliable source, which is most of the time your veterinarian. So speak to them before you make these decisions, or if you have any doubts about these things. I'm going to answer Sam's question here. Do cockroaches drink beer? Uh, so cockroaches actually do enjoy beer very much. And I'm sure if you actually dip these cockroaches in your beer and have them, it's even tastier. Okay. Uh, okay, so
Someone
let's
asked
go
about
with this.
cats and dahi.
Oh, can cats
Srishti.
eat dahi? Can cats eat dahi, Dr. Michelle?
So some cats are okay with it, but I guess you have to try it once, and if it doesn't suit them or they throw up immediately or get a loose stool, then that just means that they can't
They do.
digest it. I guess
Yeah.
a really tiny amount would be okay if you're thinking about it as a probiotic, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a
A
very
lot of
individual
times,
thing.
whenever like their dogs have loosies, people think that dahi chawal is the thing to feed them. Dahi
Hmm.
rice is something that helps with loose motions, and a lot of times, most of the time, it aggravates their loose motions as well. So, I don't know. Have you seen any cases like that?
Yeah,
Like
pretty
dahi and
often.
rice as a cure-all for any
Yeah,
digestive issues.
no, no, it isn't a cure-all for sure. You have to see how dahi suited your curd suited your animal in the past, but I think sometimes it's just best to just rest their digestive tract for a bit and speak to your vet, give the appropriate medication, give a
Yeah.
probiotic if that's what's required. Don't use curds as a source of probiotic
Yeah.
and give
Yeah.
that meat to your pet. Yeah, and you get a
Yeah.
lot of these prescription canned foods that are like good for an upset stomach, which you can give for like
Yeah.
24 or 48 hours till it settles.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that dogs eat grass because it's but it's a good digestive, or when to get okay, like when they're sick, they eat grass.
Yeah, that can often aggravate your dog's digestive issue even more. And they let them eat grass, which is not always good.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, oh, he's going to eat grass and he'll just throw up everything and then he'll get okay. Like it will get all the toxins out. Because
Yeah.
that's what wolves do, apparently.
Yeah.
But no,
We'll come.
don't let your dog eat grass as much as possible. Like a little bit is fine, but definitely not if he's sick. Don't encourage him to eat grass and throw up more. That's just going to increase
Yeah.
his gastritis
Yeah.
and make him feel worse.
Yeah. Okay, and okay, we have a question. I've noticed a few pets that are a bit overweight. Are there any suggestions or books for pet owners? Love for dogs and cats sometimes might lead to overfeeding them. Yeah, it's called Killing Them with Love.
I don't know what books would be. I guess I can check. Do you know any books
Yeah, I
on
think
nutrition?
I mean, for pet owners, so the thing is, it's honestly a little controversial when you're reading a book that's not veterinary approved, by someone who's not kind of studied nutrition, as a science. So you would ideally go for a book that's written by a vet, or you know, follow a
Even
book
by like
of.
some of these good pharma companies, I think have some good
Yeah,
resources.
yeah, those are pretty
Hill,
good resources. Hills actually has a pretty good nutrition book. So
yeah.
yeah, that would be a good one. Do goldfish bring good luck?
No. They're interesting pets, but no. And neither do turtles.
And neither do turtles. So you don't need to really have a turtle for feng shui purposes. Because no, I mean, you might feel lucky, but the turtle might not be so lucky if it's not kept well. So, okay, we have another one. Is it safe to use fipronil spray every few days to prevent reinfestation of fleas, or will that be toxic?
Are you talking about a dog or a cat? So with cats, you have to be really careful with fipronil because they shouldn't lick it off their fur. For dogs, they actually recommend once a week if it's that much of an infestation. But
Yeah.
even if you use it the first time and you find that they have reacted badly to it, then definitely don't use it again. And don't use it if they have any gaping wounds or raw skin or rashes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, since it's topical, once a week, I think would be. She's saying for a
Mhm.
cat. No, I wouldn't recommend doing fipronil that often for a cat.
Yeah.
What do you
Okay.
think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. It really depends on the severity of the infestation.
Yeah, maybe a spot on would be safer.
Spot on is safer for cats for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know, but the spray does work out more economical. I get that, but
Yeah.
I mean, if something does go wrong, then all the money you've saved on not buying spot ons, you'll have to spend that much more with like vet visits and stuff. So just
Yeah. Yeah.
avoid it with cats. Doing it
Okay.
too
So
often.
a lot of people don't neuter their dogs, saying that they'll become obese. So how do you address this issue?
So that is a common problem for sure. With males and females, but you've just got to modify their diet, increase their exercise, keep them more motivated through games and maybe longer walks, reduce their carbs. And I mean, you see a lot of neutered dogs also that are nice
They
and
are
lean.
very fit, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about maintaining that balance. You have to again put in the effort. So yeah, it's completely manageable. Like you can't have that as a reason for not neutering, for sure. Okay. Whenever I come across trauma or wound cases in pets, there's a practice of putting haldi on it as first aid. How correct is this technique, and how does it aggravate the wound?
Hmm. It's I don't know. It's definitely not. I mean, it has antiseptic properties, but it isn't something sterile, so you shouldn't be putting like a lot of haldi into wounds anyway. It
Yeah.
interferes with wound healing also a little bit because it makes
It
the
does,
wound more
because
sticky
what
and
people do is usually like they kind of like pack up the wound completely with haldi, thinking it's like just
yeah.
gonna disappear. Yeah, no, but it really it does aggravate the wound. It makes it difficult for us to clean it later, especially in certain cases of fractures. When you get a fracture that's completely contaminated with haldi, it's so difficult to treat. You
And I think you must be
spend
seeing this with birds a lot, right?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
with
yeah,
birds, it always come in with the wound packed with haldi. And
yeah,
yeah, I guess if absolutely nothing else is available, then, that's why they do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. And they come in
yeah.
looking completely yellow and yeah, not good.
Yeah, so the I think basically just no haldi. Okay, no haldi. Are bats really blind? Do you want to take that one?
No, why don't you?
I think you can I think Dr. Google will give you a good answer for that, because I don't think there's any discrepancy with about bats being blind or not. Okay. So for hypoallergenic Shih Tzus, are treats good to give? If yes, which ones?
Oh, um,
So I think she means
so you get
allergic.
a lot of, yeah. So I guess you get a lot of gluten-free treats now, and treats that are
I
just
think
dehydrated
yeah,
treats would
yeah.
be better
That's
than the biscuits and the cookies and those things that look unhealthy, that look like glucose biscuits. Don't do those.
yeah.
Jockeys, I mean, from a good brand. Research your brands before you give treats, and you can always ask your vet. Your vet should be able to recommend what treats are good.
Because they
If,
know
if
their
your vet is told,
history.
sorry,
No, 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 I'm just. I mean, the vet would know the history of what the dog is allergic
yeah,
to,
yeah.
etc.
Because if your vet has told you like to avoid chicken in your dog's diet, then don't go and buy chicken jerky, of course. So try and stick to one protein. So if your dog's been put on like a hypoallergenic diet, which is fish and potato, then stick to fish jerky. Or you can also use whatever your dog is eating regularly as a treat as well, just in smaller amounts. Don't
Yeah.
have to give them tons of biscuits. And of course there are some treats that are good for their teeth and stuff, like your veggie dent and whatnot, but don't overdo any treats. That's
Yeah. Okay. We have another very interesting question here. Are there any legal qualifications needed to administer vaccines to animals? How do paravets do it? Hmm. I mean, of course, you need a degree. First of all, a veterinary degree to administer vaccines legally. Of course, because I think you need to know certain things about immunology and vaccines before you actually administer them. Because in case there is a reaction, you wouldn't know what to do if you haven't studied or you know what the reaction to the vaccine could be. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, so many of these NGOs, all the volunteers, like WST and other NGOs also, I mean, they train them to vaccinate. So I guess if you're thinking of it in, I don't know, in a sense of vaccinating larger animals on the street,
Hmm.
like with the rabies and stuff, I guess it's okay, but you must make sure that you've been trained sufficiently.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you have a paravet degree, then that means that you should be able to give a vaccine.
yeah,
But how many people
yeah,
actually have a paravet degree?
yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Where are we?
There are
Okay,
lots of
some
questions.
studies say, okay, this is another one. Some studies say that dry cat food leads to cancer. Is it true?
I don't know if it leads to cancer, but you should be giving more wet than dry anyway. Like they say that around 60 to 70% of your cat's food should be wet and the rest should be dry. But it's also about the brand of dry food that you're using. Use a good reputed brand,
Yeah,
read reviews, don't go for the cheapest option, of course, and look at the protein content. And of course, if your cat already has some issues, then consult your vet about what prescription diet would be good for them. But I don't really see that you have more cancer cases, like with cats with lymphoma and so many other things. It's not really with cats who are on dry food as opposed to.
No. Yeah, I don't know what these studies are honestly because I've never come across these studies. I don't know if they are legit studies. So make sure that you get your source from exactly you. I mean, you get your information from legitimate sources. Um, yeah, but I don't think. I mean, in all these years, I don't think we've ever seen a cat get cancer because it's been
Of
on.
dry food.
Yeah. Okay. And is
There
it
are
okay
other
to?
issues, of course, like kidney
Yeah.
issues and stuff if you're
Yeah.
feeding the wrong kind of food. But yeah, definitely feed more wet than dry and a good brand.
Yeah. Is it okay to give calcium chewies to dogs without consulting a doctor?
Hmm. What kind of calcium chewies?
You get those milk bones, I think you know those calcium milk bones. Little
Yeah, I
bone
think
shape
yeah.
thing. That's
Monitor
fine.
your
And
puppy. If it's a puppy, yeah, monitor them. Don't leave them alone with it. They shouldn't swallow it and choke on it.
whenever you try something new, just make sure you're around. Because in
Yeah,
case it doesn't suit them, I mean, you so that you know what not to give them the next time.
yeah.
So
And try and do these new things in the day, not at night. So then, if your dog is sick in the middle of the
yeah,
night, then you'll have to rush to an emergency.
yeah, yeah. Okay, what's the first thing that one needs to do to help a fading kitten? What's an alternative to Caro syrup to use in this case?
What's Caro syrup?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't know if you can clarify that. All things brave and beautiful. Okay. Are there any eye drops that are OTC safe to give without asking a vet, like Toba?
Um, yeah, Toba is pretty safe, but you have to see what
It is
what
an
is wrong with the
antibiotic at the
eye.
end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an antibiotic in the end, and I'd say rather be more careful that you don't use like Toba tea or anything with a steroid in it without consulting a vet. I mean, either way, ask a vet first. I
Yeah,
mean, even if
it's
it's
as simple. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, if you really just want to flush the eye out, I think the safest thing to use is something like like artificial tears.
yeah, like your refresh tears or new tears or
Yeah.
pseudo tears. Either way,
That's something that won't really harm them.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, and
antibiotics, absolutely not. Yeah.
yeah, and avoid anything that has steroids in it. So no Ciplox tea and Toba tea and all those. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if there is like an ulcer, then it's just going to worsen it.
Yeah. So I think yeah, the moral of the story also is that yeah, you need to before start doing anything major, you need to speak to a vet. Don't self-medicate. I just want to come back. Oh, okay, hold on. I have one. Okay. Would you recommend homeopathy for your dogs when allergy is not clearing with allopathy? I think that's more down your lane, Mish. Uh, I can't answer that one. Um, okay, I think there's a bit of a connection issue. Just trying to get Dr. Michelle back. Okay. Um, Hi, are you back? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Okay, no, so there was a
But
question
it's not
about
a
homeopathy. Yeah.
it's an
So,
individual thing, I think, right? I mean, if it depends on you, but most vets don't advise against it. But if you are using homeopathy, make sure you don't stop the other meds that your vet has prescribed. I mean, they can always work in conjunction.
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Desi Rescues. Okay, so Caro syrup is corn syrup recommended to be put on the gums of fading kittens.
Oh,
Uh, I have honestly never heard of this.
I've not
Corn
used
syrup.
that either. But yeah, but for a fading kitten anyway, what you have to make sure is that their glucose doesn't drop and their temperature doesn't drop. So you have to make sure that they've got some food in their tummy. Um, I don't know how they digest corn. Honestly, I've not really heard
Yeah.
of this, but would probably be safer to just syringe feed them, even if nothing else, just, their wet food mixed with water with the syringe. But if they're completely dull and not able to swallow, then don't force feed them. Just keep them warm and take them to a vet soon, because a fading kitten can be a dead kitten within a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we'll come to just a slightly controversial topic about dog diets that are kind of very popular all of a sudden. Not all of a sudden, but yeah, it's been popular for a while. But it's getting popular in India now. We're talking about raw diets and vegan diets. There are a lot of people who think that their dogs or cats can be vegan. So let's come to the vegan part of it first. What's your take on that?
I really don't think dogs and cats can be vegan, especially not cats, but also not dogs. I mean, they're carnivores. They need their protein and they need a good source of protein. So, I mean, it's great if you're vegan, but I know a lot of vegans who are excellent pet owners and they don't deprive their pets of the meat that they need. I mean, if you don't want to cook it, then of course buy commercial pet food. But cats will go blind if they are vegan. Let's put it plain and simple.
Yeah.
There are some new vegan brands of cat food that come in the market. We had a couple of cats on them, and both of them have a pretty high creatinine, though they're young. So we've asked them to stop the food, and their kidney levels are better. So obviously, don't do that.
It doesn't
Dogs
work
as
for
well. See so many allergies in vegetarian dogs and vegan dogs. Their skin is always quite bad. Now if you don't want to listen to your vet about this, then talk to a canine nutritionist. There aren't that many in India. There are a few, but maybe you'll accept it better from someone who has a pure nutrition training telling you that dogs and cats can't be vegan or vegetarian. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. It's a huge pet peeve for me. Uh, I you cannot have them on a vegetarian diet. We've had cats that have been vegetarian and they develop kidney stones, and a lot of dogs that develop heart disease because they're not getting the right amount of amino acids, the correct amino acids from a vegetarian or a vegan diet. So yeah, they definitely do need their diet. Um, and so coming to that, we come to dogs have descended from wolves, so they need raw meat to keep them healthy.
I don't know about the raw meat thing. We have a lot of cats and dogs. Not so many dogs, but we see a lot of cats who are on raw meat diets. And as much as you tell their owners to not feed them raw food, it's what they want to do. So you can't really change their minds. But if you are doing it, do it correctly. Don't just buy, chicken and feed them raw chicken. I mean, you get like dehydrated raw diets, right, from certain brands that you're supposed to thaw and then feed. Barf is one of those brands.
Okay.
Mm.
So raw diet.
No vet will recommend a raw diet, okay, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And that's all over the world. You'll always find vets saying.
Yes, I mean there's a reason why vets aren't for it. I mean, it doesn't really serve us. As vets, it doesn't benefit us in any way because I mean, keeping your animal on a raw diet, first of all, you need to know where your meat is being sourced from. How are you going to clean it? How do you know whether it's clean? There are a lot of things that can go wrong when your dog is on a raw diet, which are obviously eliminated if you're, feeding your dog either a commercial packed diet or a cooked meat, diet, a homemade cooked diet. But yeah, not raw food. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. Parasites, other bacterial infections that they can get from the meat.
And bones. All these raw diets have a lot of bones in them. So very often when you take an X-ray, you'll find that the intestines are full of clumped up pieces.
Bone grit, yeah.
Yeah, bone grit. Yeah.
So yeah, and a lot of times these can even kind of lacerate the intestine, and that's an emergency. So So yeah, they don't need to really eat bones. It's not something that dogs need to do or cats need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Someone asked about dogs and cats.
yeah. So some pet owners have cats and dogs in the same house. Do they have issues?
Um, that's very individual. I mean, most cats and dogs that live in the same house are completely fine. But if you have like an aggressive dog, who doesn't like cats, then obviously you don't get a tiny kitten.
Yeah.
But there are also ways to introduce a new animal where they can be comfortable together. It's often easier when you have a cat first and then you get a puppy, because then the cat can always go to higher areas and keep its distance and
Yeah.
eventually make its sense. But yeah, they more often than not they are completely fine with each other.
Yep. I agree with that. Okay, is it safe to give raw bones to a dog? I think we addressed that, and I think unanimously right now.
Definitely
I think no.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, they say that raw is better than cooked for some reason because the cooked bones splinter more. But definitely no raw chicken bones. Yeah, a
It's
well
not worth
recommended.
the risk. It's really
It's
not
not
worth
what
the risk.
exactly. Yeah, I mean you'll have like a bleeding bottom the next day very often, and I mean your dog
Yeah.
can go 10 years without having any issues with the bones, but that doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Can CKD be reversed in young cats? Does their life expectancy dramatically decrease if they're diagnosed with it?
Uh, yes, their life expectancy would dramatically decrease if it really is CKD, but
Hmm.
you have to make sure that it's chronic and not acute, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
there's
mean, how
nothing very wrong
often do you
with letting a
see
cat has
chronic kidney
CKD
disease in young cats, though?
in young cats. Yeah, so there's something wrong there. I mean, there would be something seriously wrong. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
that's
I
a very
mean,
individual
even,
thing. You can't say
yeah,
how many years your cat is.
yeah, and if it's chronic, I mean, it's obviously not easy. It's not reversible as such. You can't really reverse it
Yeah,
unless I guess we start doing
just
kidney
manage it.
transplant.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe if
Hmm.
it's only one kidney and it's a young cat, they could remove that one kidney or things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, it's a very individual thing. You'd have to see your cat to be able to tell you
So
that. Yeah, but it's not reversible either way.
okay,
Manage
I
it.
think we've Fergie's up, and
Oh, yes.
I think he's letting us know that it's time. So if anyone actually has any more questions, you guys can ask away. We're open to questions. I think we've spoken about pretty much everything that we wanted to talk about. Um, why, okay, why are dogs so scared of nail clipping?
Oh, uh, that's so that's something that you should do when your dog is young. When you get a new puppy, you must get them used to their paws being touched frequently, because that's one of the issues that can happen when they're older, is that they don't
Yeah,
like their paws being touched. But it probably stems from a bad nail clip in the past which hurt them. So, and try and make the experience more fun. Use some treats or stuff like that, positive reinforcement while you're clipping your dog's nails. And if you can't clip your dog's nails at home, please do it at a vet or
yeah,
a vet.
yeah. It can, yeah, yeah. Because if they're gonna start hating you for doing that, I mean that's not really good for your relationship. So yeah. Okay. Why won't my dog pee outdoors no matter how often I take him?
That's a training issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it will
Yeah, that's
happen
another
eventually.
thing.
Take him for a long enough walk.
It also
See
depends how old is your dog, and is he scared of going outdoors? Does he not like it? Things like that. Or there might be some other like
Yeah, or they may
some
be trained to just put on like a pee pad at home, so you've got to break
yeah,
that training. That takes some
yeah,
time, just patience. It will happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. All
So
right.
Naina said
Oh,
she's changed her mind about neutering her dog because of us, so that's great.
oh, yay! I am so glad. Yay! That's amazing. Um, other dog smell. So your dog is used to using training pads. That's why he doesn't want to go outside. He's like his mind is trained to do it on the pee pad. So I think you need to slowly work with him to pee outside. Probably, take the pee pad outside with him a couple of times. Give him a treat if he pees outside. Things
Yeah,
like that.
and longer walks, sometimes even like an hour long walk, and take him
Yeah,
outside the moment he wakes up from a nap so he doesn't get a chance to pee at home.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Is there anything? Have we missed anything?
No, except so bats aren't blind, Sam. Um, yeah. Some bats use echolocation, all don't, but especially your
Some
fruit
old
bats.
bats might be blind if they have like cataract or something. But yes, bats bats can see.
Bats. Okay, have you missed anything?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. Um,
Your vaccination myths. Quickly talk about that.
that's a long one. Yeah. Yeah, vaccinations. So a lot of pet owners I see sometimes are scared to vaccinate their dogs, thinking that the vaccine will harm them or make their dog autistic. Uh,
What rubbish. You actually had someone say that to you.
it's true. There are people like, I mean, it'll be harmful to the dog. Vaccinating them will hamper their liver or kidneys in some way. Yeah. So
Um,
what's your take on that?
so all I can say is that the diseases that you're vaccinating your dog against are all fatal. So, if they happen to get rabies or lepto or distemper or all of these, they're going to die. So it makes more sense to just vaccinate them and protect them,
Yeah.
especially as puppies, and you have to give them their primary and their boosters, and as adults. And also, it's a legal thing. I mean, your dogs and cats have to be vaccinated against rabies. Otherwise, I mean, the BMC is well within their right to confiscate your animals.
Yeah. Yep. How come sometimes vaccinated dogs still get distemper? Um, I
So
honestly
no
have
vaccine
not.
is 100%
Yeah.
effective, but it's not very often that you see that. But it's also sometimes a matter of the time that the dog was vaccinated, the age, and also the brand of the vaccine, and it could be a matter of the cold chain being broken, so the vaccine isn't you
Effective
know
anymore. Yeah.
effective because of that. Yeah, or sometimes if the dog already has the disease and then you vaccinate it, it can make it worse.
Yeah. Or if they have an immune mediated or like an immunological condition where they don't produce the antibodies.
Yeah, but
So
very rare to see vaccinated dogs getting distemper. It's probably because they had it before their first vaccine
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Um, does TRICAT include panleukopenia as well? Yeah. Yes, it does. And okay, which is the best brand of vaccines? Uh, I don't think there's really a best brand. I mean, they're all pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know about them all being pretty good, but
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, at least the ones that are used regularly at most vets are good brands, so to say.
Yeah, look for a good pharma company, I guess. Your
Yeah,
whatever, your Boehringer and your Novavax and all of those. But yeah,
yeah,
Indian immunologicals also.
yeah, yeah. There are lots. I mean, I
Pfizer.
honestly like veterinary science is at a really good place right now, even in India, where making great progress is what I feel. There's still a long way to go, but yeah. Okay. Oh, Desi Rescues has it coming. What else? If someone gets bitten by cats often, other than vaccinations, should they do something? I
Mm,
think probably be careful. when you're handling
Yeah.
cats?
Yes, but
Like
definitely
where,
get your rabies shot every year.
yeah. I mean, if you're working with a lot of strays, a lot of street animals that you don't know the vaccination history of, and you are at a high risk of getting bitten, which is of course like even as vets, we get our shots every year. Yeah,
Yes.
and you there are like certain things that, like there are certain like cat gloves and things like that that can protect you from bites.
Yeah, and make
But
sure
I
you
don't
wash
know.
your hands really well after.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
try to prevent it, I guess.
All right. So yeah, so yeah, vaccination is good. A good non-vegetarian diet is good.
Mm.
Um,
Neutering is
neutering is good. Uh, do not apply haldi on wounds.
yeah.
What else? Cats don't like. I mean, cats should not be drinking milk.
Mm.
Um, I mean, as much as they would like it, like I would honestly love eating a vada pav every single day of my life, but it's not good for me. So yeah, no milk and milk products. Do not try to feed your dog or cat grass if they are unwell. A wet nose is not an indication of good health. And what else? Cats do not always land on their feet. They don't have 9 lives, so be careful with the one that they do have. And if you touch a baby kitten, puppy, bird, squirrel, their parents will still take them back. Just make sure you don't pick them up and take them away if the parents are around because you think they are abandoned. Wait for the parents because they can give them the
They
best
come
care.
back.
Yeah. And okay, okay, we have a little more. Can you use betadine as first aid for pretty much any wound? And what about maggot wounds? I mean, I would personally say betadine is much safer than using anything else in
Yeah,
in an emergency situation.
yeah, it's a good antiseptic.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's something that should be in your first aid kit if if you're out t- taking
Eating
care of
animals.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so betadine is
Even
something
for
that's
maggot
it's fine.
wounds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
you
for
can use
maggot
it
wounds,
for
it's fine.
maggot wounds. Yeah,
It will
it's
kill
a
the
good
maggots, but
antiseptic.
it's
Yeah, and it's not very irritating, so they tolerate it quite well. Huh. All right. I think we're good. This has been a very fun session. Thank you everyone who participated as well. I think we really enjoyed ourselves with all the questions coming our way. Thank you so much, Dr. Michelle, for joining me today.
thanks,
Uh,
Dr. Henna.
it was a really good session. I hope you guys gained something out of this, and if you missed the live session and you watch this later, you can DM Dr. Michelle, or you can DM me. You can comment once we post the video, etc. So let us know if you have any other questions, and always please again follow veterinary advice whenever it comes to medicine related things about your pets, or even nutrition related. Like run things by your vet first. Um, yeah, and stay safe, everybody. And thank you so much. And I
Thanks, Henna.
will see you guys again very soon with another topic. So, bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.